Welcome to On the Vineyard. I'm Monica Brady-Meyerov, the publisher of the Vineyard Gazette Media Group on Martha's Vineyard. We're so glad you're here. On the Vineyard is sponsored by Crane Appliance. The sound of music filled Edgartown last weekend for the second annual Porchfest, a musical community event that invites musicians to play outside. On the porch of Edgartown Books, Zaya May and friends performed. The band is named after the guitarist's 1-year-old daughter who was in attendance.
Thanks for coming out for Porchfest, second annual Porchfest. Welcome to Zaya May and friends.
And
Who's Zaya May? Thank you.
Coming up, tapping into fresh water deep in the sea.
They're trying to figure out how it got there, how long it's been there, and is there potential to use this for drinking water at some point in the future?
But first, there's a new ferry in town. Islanders welcomed the Steamship Authority's new ferry, the MV Aquina. It joined the fleet and was welcomed by more than 100 Islanders at the ferry terminal in Oak Bluffs. The vessel used to work in the oil and gas industry, but was converted to a freight ferry for the steamship. There's always room for more ferry service. There's always a big competition and anticipation for who will win the honor of drawing the agricultural fair poster. This year's 2025 winner has been selected. It's artist Abe Pysiak. His poster features sunflowers and a big chicken with some hidden details. Abe cleverly incorporated fishing lures into the feathers of the rooster and also included a small pennant of the Vineyard secession flag. Check it out in the Vineyard Gazette. Speaking of the Ag Hall, did you make it to the annual farm meet and greet last Sunday? It was a fundraiser for the 4-H group and featured close encounters with calves, piglets, goats, and other animals. That's the sound of the historic press and the Vineyard Gazette offices in Edgartown printing the paper. That means it's time to go upstairs to the newsroom and check in with Bill Evell, the editor-in-chief, and the reporters on this week's news.
Turning now to Ethan Genter with a fascinating story about some underwater drilling about 30 miles off the coast of Martha's Vineyard. They are in search of some freshwater pockets. Ethan?
Hey, Bill. So this week, a team of researchers from around the globe, 16 different countries, had set out. They were heading from Bridgeport down to about 30 miles off the coast. And like you said, they're going to be drilling into the ocean floor. And the reason for that is past studies have found that there are aquifers underneath the ocean floor, which isn't really where we usually expect to find fresh water. It's mostly in other places. So they're trying to figure out how it got there, how long it's been there, and is there potential to use this for drinking water at some point in the future?
And I thought it was fascinating, this huge international effort, and it's not just to find drinking water for us, but they're really trying to solve a more worldwide problem, right?
Yeah, this is happening off of the vineyard because our area is one of the best studied parts of the world. This region, there was a study in the 70s trying to send electrical currents through the ocean floor, and they really struggled in this one area because there was a lot of water underneath it. So they have a good sense of where it is. So they're going to start drilling sometimes it's going to be, the water area is about, I think it's about 150 feet of water, but they're going to be drilling as far as 1,600 feet underneath the ocean floor.
Now, when anybody starts talking about drilling in the ocean floor, of course, you get worried about contaminants and pollution, but supposedly this is sort of not really invasive, correct?
From what I talked to some of the scientists involved, and what they said was, they're taking core samples out. This isn't oil drilling. It's a much smaller setup. And the one scientist described it to me as, putting a straw in a birthday cake. Pull it out, and you're going to have each layer of everything. And they're kind of trying to find the water within there and kind of the sediment involved. They say once you pull the drill out, hopefully the aquifer reseals itself from all the pressure. I mean, it's very far down at that point. So they're not worried about, super contamination or losing all the fresh water into the ocean.
So it's going to start taking place soon, and then once they start getting results, they're going to talk about it on the vineyard, right?
This is a 90-day study, 3-month study, and they hope to come back and talk to us. They've already talked to some the high schoolers about some of the research, as well as the Martha's Vineyard Commission. They've also chatted with folks in Nantucket. But the interesting thing is research in our backyard here could be used globally to try and solve a giant water scarcity. There's estimates that 2/3 of the global population could experience water scarcity by 2030. So it's this thing that it's happening right off of our shores, but could be a global aid.
All right, fascinating story, and we look forward to finding out more when they get the results. Thanks, Ethan.
Thank you, Bill.
Turning now to Addison Antonoff, who found this story at one of her boxing classes. Turns out her teacher has a big role in this season's huge movie, Sinners. Addison, how did this all begin?
So for me, the story started last summer at a kickboxing class. The guy who teaches it at Strong Martha is named Theodis Crane. He's also an actor and a stuntman. So I met him through there, and then the movie Sinners came out in April, and it turns out he was in the credits.
For those of you who haven't seen Sinners, you should definitely run out immediately and see it. It's an incredible movie, critically acclaimed, exciting. It's got vampires, it's got juke joint, it's got the blues, and our local Theodis Crane, who has been coming here summers for a long time, right?
Yes, Theodis Crane has been coming to the Vineyard for, I think, over a decade now. His wife's from the island, and he's in the movie. He plays a bouncer in one of the final credits at Sammy's Club, for those of you who have seen the movie. He also is the stuntman. He did body double work for Cornbread, who's one of the characters at the juke joint. He was the bouncer.
And right, fun. So you met him first last year at kickboxing, and did you know he was an actor then?
He mentioned that he was an actor. We had spoken about some artistic projects that we were both working on. He did not mention anything about Sinners at the time. I think it was before he had auditioned, but it came up later on. He was talking about it on social media, and so I reached out to him and asked if he would tell me more about it. And you can read about what he had to say about his time on set at the Gazette.
Yeah, and some of what he had to say was being a part of a film that was directed and written by black screenwriter and director and starring a black cast. It felt different for him being on the set than other movies, he said.
Yeah, I asked him about that, and he said that it was really wonderful to work on a set that had so many incredible black creatives, the director of photography, the director, the actors, all of these black creatives. And he said that it was really great to be able to see so many excellent artists who he could relate to on that level and be able to work together.
You can read more on these stories and all the news for free at vineyardgazette.com. It's Memorial Day weekend. Today, Friday, is the annual Memorial Day March to the Sea, where young islanders honor veterans who've died by taking flowers and throwing them into the sea. Also this weekend for Memorial Day, Chilmark Church will hold its Blessing of the Fleet on Sunday. After the blessing service, people will go to the Menemsha Texaco, where they'll read the names of fishing vessels in order to ask for protection of the fishermen. Also, there's a fundraiser put on by a high school junior to support the Freedom Fighter Project, which benefits affordable housing for island veterans. It's Sunday at the PA Club and features the Harley Riders, live music, and a silent auction. So I've been told it's safe to put your summer vegetables and flowers in the ground after Memorial Day. It's been a cold week this week, so I'm happy to have listened to this advice. Many people are gardeners on the vineyard. I read in Henry Beadle Huff's book, Mostly on Martha's Vineyard, that he was particularly good with roses. In the book, he says he never would have thought about growing roses if it wasn't for his wife, Betty. Betty was all for planting trees, exercising foresight I wouldn't have been up to. My range was more on the scale of tomato plants, such as annuals and snapdragons and verbenas, and perhaps early peas and golden bantam corn. I didn't even go for roses until she goaded me into what became an addiction. For years afterward, our place was abloom early and late, rose beds in front and at the side, climbing roses wherever a place could be found for them. That excerpt was from his 1975 book, and I wonder if those rose beds are still climbing. That's a little more music from Porchfest in Edgartown. 21 different performers played around town. The music I heard ranged from the blues — this tune is from musician Michael Hayden, who also created our theme music — to rocking out with the Dock Street Fight Club at the end of the day at Memorial Wharf. If you like the show, please follow us and give us a 5-star review, and tell a friend who loves the Vineyard. Thanks to our sponsor, Crane Appliance. Even the best appliances need to be repaired from time to time. When you purchase from Crane Appliance, you get their full support and expertise should something go wrong. Crane Appliance. They call the Cape and Islands home. I'm Monica Brady-Meyerov. Thanks for joining us on The Vineyard. Talk to you next week.